Picture this. You slip beneath glassy blue water expecting coral, a few colorful fish, maybe a curious turtle. Then the light blinks out. A wall of tentacles, longer than a city bus, glides past in total silence. That's not a horror film. That's how Earth's oceans used to be. For hundreds of millions of years, the seas repeatedly manufactured monsters. Massive, era-defining predators so big, they bent entire ecosystems around their size. Welcome to prehistoric marine gigantism, the most consistent magic trick evolution ever pulled. And here's the twist that scrambles your brain. The giants didn't all live at the same time. Different ages, different blueprints, same result. Behemoths again and again. So why did the ocean keep picking go big on repeat? What rules powered this pattern? And could anything like that return to our modern seas? Let's start with a creature that looks like a bad idea that somehow worked. Endoscurus. Imagine an octopus fused to a 20-foot stone icicle. Pointed, rigid, heavy. It's the cephalopod equivalent of wearing a concrete tuxedo to a pool party. Endoscurus wasn't technically a squid. It was an ancient cephalopod with a long, straight shell, up to 20 feet of armored buoyancy chamber weighing hundreds of pounds. Not sleek, not fast, not agile, and yet for a long stretch of the Ordovician seas, it was king. Why? Because back then the ocean ran on slow motion. No blitzing sharks, no torpedo-bodied tuna, no cunning high-speed squid brains. The water column moved like syrup. In that world, being big wasn't a flex, it was survival strategy. A giant shell meant you can't bite me. And, crucially, my only real threat is a bigger version of me. That's the loop. Once the only thing that can eat you is you, but larger natural selection pushes size up and up until physics, food, or design failure says stop. Endoscurus thrived because its world rewarded mass, but the same shell that protected it also caged it. When faster hunters evolved, the living javelin became a giant target. You can't pivot out of a bad body plan at 700 pounds. The crown slipped, and in the ocean handed it to the next giant. Enter the Eurypterids, the infamous sea scorpions. Picture an 8-foot armored arthropod with raking claws. Gecalopterus, a shallow sea brawler that looked like it escaped from a boss fight. Here's what most people get wrong. They didn't get huge because of high oxygen. Those oxygen spikes that supercharged bugs came later. Eurypterids ballooned for the same reason Endocarus did: arms race pressure. When the old cone shell overlords declined, the ecosystem didn't relax. It detonated. Eurypterids had to outcompete other Eurypterids, had to overpower early fish, had to punch through whatever armor appeared next. And when everyone around you is getting harder to kill, you scale your body, your reach, your bite, your claws. The ocean doesn't play favorites, it plays escalation. Now jump to the Devonian, the Age of Fishes. Evolution strapped steel plates onto everything and called it fashion. Enter the placoderms, armored fish with literal bone faces. Want the final boss? That's Dunkleosteus, 20 to 30 feet long, a skull like a medieval visor. No teeth, just guillotine-sharp bone plates that sheared flesh and armor. We've found Dunkleosteus bones with Dunkleosteus bite marks. When the only entree left is you, the menu gets circular real quick. The rulebook repeats, a body plan shows up early, it scales up before competitors, the ecosystem or physics caps it, something new arrives and hijacks the loop. New era, new giants. Same pressure. Fast forward to the Cretaceous, and the ocean flips genres. The world floods. Shallow epicontinental seas spread over continents. Warm water, high sea levels, reef cities, and food everywhere. Now the top dogs are marine reptiles. Mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, and mighty croc-kin. Not cone shell tanks, not armored jaws, streamlined torpedoes with killing heads and steering fins. This was a buffet for predators that could swim fast, breathe air, and sprint hard. You didn't just survive, you dominated by being a giant that could still turn and burn. Even the gentle giants got colossal. Archelon, the largest sea turtle ever, stretched over 13 feet, with flippers built to cross whole oceans. Not because of oxygen or magic temperatures, but because the Cretaceous Sea was a monster arena. And the only way to avoid being lunch was to look like lunch's nightmare. So if size was such a winning strategy, where did all the giants go? Short answer: extinctions pulled the plug. When the asteroid hit at the end of the Cretaceous, it didn't just end dinosaurs on land, it nuked the entire marine food pyramid. The playing field reset. Different rules, new winners. This time, mammals surged. Warm-blooded, live birth, high power output. They could sprint, chase, and thermoregulate in cold seas. Where a cold-blooded reptile would stall, a mammal kept going. And that's the first big reason reptilian megapredators didn't return. Today's oceans are ruled by endothermic athletes. Orcas, sperm whales, makos, tunas. They accelerate harder, hunt longer, and function in frigid water. Gigantic reptiles can't pay that metabolic bill without the ancient buffet of giant prey. Second, the prey base shrank. In the deep past, the sea was stacked with giant ammonites, giant fish, giant turtles, a food web scaled for titans. Once those vanished, the super predator blueprint lost its fuel. Third, modern food webs are tight. Energy gets recycled efficiently. Running a 40 to 50 foot cold-blooded reptile today would be like trying to daily drive a rocket. Wrong engine, wrong economy. But gigantism itself didn't die. It morphed. Look at the leatherback sea turtle, over 2,000 pounds, built like a living submarine. Look at giant squids, 40-plus feet of muscle engaging in midnight wars with sperm whales. And towering above all, the blue whale, the largest animal that has ever existed. Bigger than any mosasaur, any dunkleosteus, any endocarus. Marine gigantism won. It just switched teams and tactics. Today's giants are specialists. They don't dominate every role like the old sea monsters. They occupy laser-focused niches. The fight continues, just with different uniforms. So why did giants keep reappearing in prehistory? Strip away the names and bones and you get a simple engine. Early arrival advantage. If your body plan shows up before rivals, you can scale first. Arms race dynamics. As defenses thicken, weapons scale. As weapons scale, bodies follow. Ecological surplus, high productivity eras, reef booms, shallow seas, feed large predators. Intraspecific pressure. The apex often becomes its own best predator, forcing size inflation. Ceiling effects, physics, food limits, and bad designs eventually cap the growth and invite a takeover by the next blueprint. That loop ran again and again. Giant cone cephalopods, giant sea scorpions, giant armored fish, giant marine reptiles. Different players, same script. Could that script run again? Could we see the return of reptilian sea titans? Never say never. Evolution is a patient gambler. But the odds are long under today's rules. Warm-blooded hunters own the speed lanes. Deep oceans are colder, leaner, and tighter on energy. And the roster of giant prey just isn't there. For a reptilian megabeast to re-evolve, we'd need a wholesale reboot of climate, productivity, and prey size. Possible after a mass extinction? Maybe. Desirable? Absolutely not. More likely, our future giants will be mammals and cephalopods. Smarter squids, heavier whales, faster pinnipeds. Or something we haven't imagined yet, evolving in the margins we're not watching. Because the ocean still runs its old program. Competition plus surplus equals scale. The code hasn't changed, only the inputs have. If you look closely, you can still see the ancient pattern playing out today. Sperm whales versus giant squid is the modern echo of dunkleosteus versus everything. Tuna schools and orcapods force prey to optimize, and the prey pushes back. It isn't as cinematic as a 40-foot mosasaur, but it's the same arms race, just at a speed our age can afford. And that's the real lesson of prehistoric marine gigantism. The ocean didn't like big. It selected big whenever the math worked. When food was fat and rivals were fierce, bodies inflated. When the debt came due, boom, reset, new plan, Next giants. The actors changed. The drama never did. So the next time a whale breaches or footage drops of a squid arm longer than a car, remember? You're watching a very old story told with new characters. If that idea lit up your brain, stick around. The next thing we dig into might just change how you think the ocean still works today.